Hello and welcome to the Radical Podcast, inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root. We explore the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
This season is all about divination, tarot, and the power held within our intuition. This is The Radical with Nicole and Christina, the two metaphysical girls in the material world.
Hello, welcome to the Radical Podcast. This is Christina.
And I'm Nicole.
Today we're talking about the planet Uranus, which is the domicile planet of Aquarius season. Uranus is domicile in Aquarius. I'm just going to start right away. We're just going to jump right in with this list. I'm going to talk about the qualities, properties, attributes, and correspondences. Uranus is an ice giant. That's the classification of this planet in our solar system. It's mostly made up of water, ammonia, and methane ices. And I've read the word slushy more than once to describe Uranus as a planet, which now has stuck in my brain. That it has methane slushiness element to it. It's cyan colored, which is a pale blue-green. It has a smooth, almost featureless surface. It appears that cyan color, that blue-green color, because there's a lot of methane gas in the upper atmosphere. And the way the sunlight reacts with this element is that the methane absorbs the red light from the sun and reflects the blue and the green wavelengths. That's why it appears that color to us. And also Neptune, for that matter, too, because there's a lot of methane in both of those planets. The reason why Uranus has that pale color is because it has a thick layer of haze in its atmosphere, which diffuses the sunlight, which gives it that softer, paler color versus Neptune. It's the third largest planet. It's number 3. Why did I think it was kind of smallish? It's been visited only one time by Voyager 2 in 1986. So we have some new photographs and some new information about it, but the planet still has a lot of mystery. And I'm going to give you a few reasons why. First of all, it is thought to have suffered a severe collision at some point in its formation as a planet. And I remember you and I talking about this when we did personalities of the planets. I went back and revisited my notes from that podcast, and I pulled some of it into this, but then I dug deeper into some other stuff because it started to really spark my imagination, which is the nature of this planet. It's one of the themes of this planet. Because the planet itself has been tipped onto its side. It has what they call a retrograde rotation. First of all, like Venus, it rotates in the opposite direction, which is clockwise, compared to the sun and other planets. The second reason why we think it had a massive collision is because it has extreme axial tilt, which means Uranus is the only planet where the equator is at a right angle to its orbit, which means it's at a 97-degree tilt. Its pole is facing the sun. And you know what? It's because of this, it has extreme seasons because the planet rotates the sun in 84 years. For 42 years, one pole is facing the sun, and then the other 42 years, the other pole is facing the sun.
Wow.
And because of its tilt, it's rotating just like a ball. The Earth rotates around the sun like a top, a spinning top, and Uranus rotates like a rolling ball with one point facing the sun. It's fascinating. There's so many really beautiful, informative videos that are available for free on YouTube. If you really want to visualize any of this information, go check it out. And then this is directly from my notes about Uranus from the personalities of the planets. It's the coldest planet. It's the coldest planet in our solar system. It holds the record for the lowest recorded temperature at minus 370 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
That's negative 224 degrees Celsius. And that's in its atmosphere. It's colder than Neptune. And the reason why it's colder, if you remember us talking about magnetic fields and about the energy and about weather patterns and how it absorbs sunlight, because of Uranus's prehistoric collision and because of its axial tilt, it doesn't have that. It's cold. It doesn't have that. It doesn't. They don't think it has a molten metal or even liquid hydrogen core. So no heat is emanating, and it's not holding on to the heat it's getting. But it does have a magnetic atmosphere, and it's a very chaotic, asymmetric magnetic field. I read the term, it's a geometric nightmare because of its tilt, its rotation, and just the elemental nature of it. The magnetic field tumbles, and sometimes it's blocking solar wind and sometimes it's not. Uranus's atmosphere is being bombarded by solar wind, and then sometimes it's protected. And the pattern of it is they can, again, go look online for pictures of this and more information on this, but it adds an element of the uniqueness of Uranus and also why we've only visited once. It's very difficult to get close to that planet because we use the magnetic field to help us drive or fly in these satellite and these probes. And it's difficult to predict what Uranus is going to be doing in its magnetic field. It's difficult to get the flyby time right for the probes. Isn't that fascinating? So it's like cloaked in mystery. Yeah. And what we know just makes it more fascinating and more interesting as a physical planet in our solar system.
It goes along with the idea of the planets revealing themselves to us.
Yes. Yes. It has 13 rings. Sometimes the rings are more visible depending on its magnetic activity. But I love the thing I read about its rings. Some of its moons live in the rings, and the moons move through the rings and they act like shepherds, creating space and organizing the other debris in the rings so they can follow the pattern of these shepherd moons in the rings of Uranus. And that's how they can tell that they exist and their size and their activity. But there's 28 so I read 28 and 29 named known moons for Uranus. And most of them are just made, if not half, if entirely of ice. The names of the moons, they have names like Miranda, Ariel, Umbriel, Tatiana, and Oberon. And then also Cordelia, Ophelia, and Belinda. They're named after the works of William Shakespeare and Alexander Pope. And the way that the moons are discovered and organized have to do with the stories that they're named after. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely?
That's kind of cute.
It is I love finding out information like that and how things are named and how they're kind of grouped together. The moons live together in their little stories.
I think I missed my calling as an English major who didn't become an astronomer and name moons and planets after myth and Shakespeare.
Yeah. I read, and you could see I cut and pasted this almost directly from the article. I took it from Nicole because it says, yes, you can see Uranus with the naked eye under extremely dark Dark clear skies. You can guess what my question was, listeners. Can you see Uranus with the naked eye? The answer is yes. Now, you may not know or be able to track the movement of Uranus. And you would need one of those apps on your phone to really, figure out what part of the sky you're looking in. But it would have to be really dark. And you'd have to have really good eyesight. But you can see it with your naked eye, but you might not know you're looking at it. It's near the constellation of Aries. The name Uranus is from the Greek god of the sky, Uranus. Where did I say Arnos? Because it's A-U-R. It's Oranos. Is that how you would pronounce that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And that is, the Roman equivalent is Caelus. The etymology of the name in Greek and Roman is rainmaker, lord of rain, and also almost directly sky and heaven. Through different cultures, they have modeled it after the Greek and Roman name. And in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese, it's their language's translation from heavenly king star. In Thai, it's named after the Sanskrit word for death, Murtyu, which is interesting. I didn't dig in any deeper to that, but that'd be a fascinating thing to look up. And then also in Mongolian, it's translated King of the Sky. The fun thing is, in Hawaiian, the name is Hele e Kela, which is the Hawaiian rendering of the name Herschel, who is the discoverer and what the planet was named for a short period of time. Wasn't that one of the recommendations of the name of the planet was Herschel?
I know that's one of the explanations of one of Uranus's symbols is said to include an H.
Yeah.
For Herschel.
But it's
I like that the Hawaiians are like, no, we're going to do our own thing.
And it's I love the Hawaiian language. I lived in Hawaii for a very short period of time, and I always wanted to know more about the language, but I think it's so beautiful. It's Hele Ekela for Herschel. There's a story behind that, right? There's always more to know. So moving along, let's keep moving along before I get sidetracked on etymology. It is, for the element for the planet is air, but also ether and spirit. The zodiac sign is Aquarius. Just as I mentioned, we're in Aquarius season. The tarot card is the Fool, but Nicole has more on tarot cards in just a few moments. The house is the 11th house. Tree of Life is tied to the conceptual sphere, the 11th sphere of Da'at, for knowledge and knowing. That's a whole nother story too, because there's 10 spheres. This 11th sphere is an addition by some scholars and some interpreters of the Tree of Life. So if that sparks your interest, listeners, go look it up. The 11th sphere of Da'at. The chakra associated with Uranus, crown chakra, representing that sudden spiritual insight, that 1,000-petaled lotus connecting us to the cosmos. The themes of enlightenment, innovation, acting as a bridge between us and higher knowledge and revolutionary ideas. And there's this element of the crown chakra receiving or opening so that we can receive instantaneous spiritual wisdom. Just wait for the season on chakras, listeners. or we'll continue to interweave it into everything we're doing. There's two metals associated with Uranus. First of all, it's uranium, which is a heavy radioactive material, and it was because it was discovered 8 years prior to the discovery. Like, they were discovered around the same time. But then also platinum has been associated as a metal that corresponds with Uranus, and it's also the time of discovery. So you might see two metals associated with that planet. The color for this planet is black, which I get, but also I think I'm taking a very literal color palette from the planets of like how they actually look now that we have good visuals on them from all of our space probes. In numerology, one set of numerology has the number 4 assigned to Uranus. And in that interpretation of 4 representing sudden change, innovation, unpredictability, and liberation, and that tradition of numerology. But as a ruler of unconventional thinking, Uranus will influence those born on the 4th, 13th, 22nd, or 31st of any month. So if that's your birthday, you might get some extra influence from Uranus.
Interesting.
Yeah. Numerology. Whew. There's another season we need to put on the books. We could just talk about numbers for a year. The body parts associated with Uranus are the parathyroid gland, which sits behind the thyroid gland, the brain and the nervous system, and the electric and magnetic systems of the body, which totally makes sense when we think about the nature of Uranus and the themes of Uranus.
Okay, I have something to say.
Say
I hope
it.
it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. Okay, so if the body parts are the brain and the nervous system, and then for the chakra, it's the crown. So we've got brain, crown, and instantaneous spiritual wisdom from the universe. Wouldn't that be nice if we had a crown chakra activation and all of a sudden we just got instantaneous spiritual wisdom from the universe? But that's another word, in my opinion, for intuition.
Yeah.
And a synonym for intuition is our gut instinct, our gut. And I think that is a huge part of the nervous system too. It's all coming together.
Yes. We talk about the electricity that humans have, our electricity in our own magnetic fields and emanations. These are tangible, measurable things that we have as human beings. And it is so fascinating to think that there are energies out in the universe that we can work with, to connect with, that match up with those energies, or that we can work on matching those energies. But yeah, that's why I talked about the magnetic field of Uranus, and then I saw this note about the body parts and the electric and magnetic emanations of the human body being tied to, or being a correspondence to, the energy of Uranus. And it just feels to me that it makes sense that the physical nature of the planet and the physical nature of humans, you just put the two together, and then we have more access to more information to open ourselves up to being more aware of our intuition. And then I think you're going to talk about this too. We talk about the symbol of Uranus. And it's
I do have a teeny bit also.
I want to, so we could talk about it together. The circle with a line going up and then 2 straight lines. To me, it looks like if I was going to draw a picture of a satellite, it looks like a satellite to me.
I would agree.
And one interpretation of the symbol was the circle represents spirit, intersected by a cross representing duality, and 2 crescent moons for compassion and perception on either side, symbolizing spirit seeing both sides. That's one person's interpretation. And then right after that, it was the sign features a globe, the circle for spirit, surmounted by the letter H for Herschel. But then they also said that the circle of the spirit above the cross, and then the 2 crescents of the mind. So that could be the conscious and the unconscious, or the conscious and the subconscious. And that signifies the spirit breaking through material constraints. But it's very, anyway. And then I do want to mention that actual symbols, and we saw this when we were talking about the star card, that actual symbols of the planet, lightning and lightning bolts, that represent rapid change, transformation, and divine sparks, and spirals and stars and starry skies, symbols that are used to represent the energy of the planet Uranus. But I think you have another note on
What I found is less metaphorical and just kind of a literal story. The French astronomer Jerome Lalande suggested naming the newly discovered planet of Uranus Herschel, because William Herschel, like Christina mentioned, discovered Uranus. He was a German and British astronomer and composer. However, the name Uranus won out for consistency with mythology. Shortly after Uranus was discovered, the platinum symbol was used to represent Uranus. And it is still used mostly by astronomers today. Platinum was commonly called white gold. It was found by chemists mixed with iron. So gold and iron are the planetary metals for the sun and Mars. So the symbol for platinum combines the alchemical symbols for gold, which is the sun at the bottom, with the arrow pointing up for iron. So that's how they came up with the platinum symbol, which was used, like I said, for Uranus for a little while. And it's still used by astronomers today. And the astrologers use that globe with the H on top that looks like a satellite, like Christina said. So a few years after Uranus was discovered, Jerome Lalande wrote a letter to William Herschel in 1784 suggesting a different symbol for Uranus, and he wrote that it is a globe surmounted by the first letter of your name. That's how Lalande described it. And so I see that, like I see how the globe and the H, I can see that, but I like satellite better.
Oh, and I've seen the platinum symbol, and now that totally makes sense now that you explain that, sun and Mars. But I really, now that we did this, we put this information together to talk about Uranus this way, I feel like that Herschel monogram fits so well for Uranus, like the history, and then our modern understandings of the energy and our modern understandings of the nature. I think it's a good fit, the one that we're using now, or the one that some people are using now.
And we'll put a picture. I'll put pictures in our Substack of both the symbols and of iron and gold. Visually, it's like, oh, I see. I understand now. So an 84-year orbit is 30,687 days. Uranus stays in each zodiac sign anywhere from 6 to 7 years. Like Christina said, as an outer planet, its influence is more so on generations and collectives, broader themes, social trends. Uranus was actually discovered in 1781, a time that aligns with the Enlightenment period, the dawn of the Industrial Revolution in 1760, and the American Revolution and the French Revolution, 1776, 1789. So the discovery of Uranus corresponds to the rise of technology, science, and individuality, and it retains a lot of those themes. Uranus symbolizes the capacity also for radical transformation. Thinking of that little lightning bolt,
Mm-hmm.
disrupting the status quo, progressive movements, originality, and breakthroughs in human thought. I found a nice little paragraph from tarot.com. It says Uranus takes us beyond the bounds of the known. It was the first planet discovered by telescope, doubling the size of the solar system in one night. It came into consciousness between the American and French revolutions, breaking down the rule of royalty and giving birth to democracy. The late 18th century was also a time of invention. As the dawn of the steam age began, the process of replacing humans and animal labor with machines. Today, Uranus still represents breakthroughs that produce freedom, but which also shock us with surprise and uncertainty. I would argue that AI is our today version of those machines that they were using in the late 18th century. I think AI is in some ways replacing humans and jobs that humans were doing, and I think there's a lot of surprise and
Yeah.
uncertainty that comes with that. I heard this on a nightlight astrology talk. Uranus in transit, so when we're kind of looking at our birth chart, in transit or an aspect brings the energy of unexpected events or breakthroughs. I kind of align that with the Tower in tarot.
Mm.
And I loved how I wrote this down in my notes, so I'm assuming this is how he said it. But times when the radically new insists on entering our consciousness. And I related that to the star. And I like how he said it because it's something new insists on entering our consciousness. Just like how we talk about, again, this theme of the planets revealing themselves to us when they're ready to be known. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, present day astrology. As of February 4th of this year, 2026, Uranus moves direct in Taurus. It has been retrograde in the sign of Taurus. On April 26th, 2026, Uranus will re enter Gemini, and there's going to be a trine between Uranus and Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. This trine is going to begin, it actually already began forming last July 2025. The trine will be perfected, or I guess exact, in July of 2026, and will continue kind of doing this dance, Uranus and Pluto, and there will be 5 more exact trines over the next 2 years, ending in May of 2028.
Aw.
So it's interesting because we're talking about Uranus today.
Mm-hmm.
Uranus is involved, but also Aquarius, which is why we're even talking about Uranus today.
Well, you just mentioned the AI and the energy and the innovation, and it's in Gemini, which is communication and
Mm-hmm.
intellect and ideas. And then Aquarius and Pluto. Wow,
Yes.
what is going to be going on for us in the next couple years, listeners? Wow. Lots of innovation.
And Uranus is considered the higher octave of Mercury.
Yeah.
So, also, I want to talk about this Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius a little bit more because back in the 1960s, most of this is coming from Pam Gregory. Love her. But the 1960s is considered the seed point for the Uranus in Gemini trine Pluto and Aquarius, because the 1960s was when Uranus and Pluto were conjunct and then started moving apart and coming back together.
Mm.
It's like from that conjunction, you measure a cycle of planetary interaction. So in the 1960s, we saw a more psychological understanding of astrology.
Hmm.
And so now we're kind of revisiting these psychological understandings that astrology brought to us. And pretty much everything Christina just said, we have Pluto and Aquarius, Uranus and Gemini. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, AI. Like, what are we in for? And what we're in for, I think a lot of the answers are in that seed point of the 1960s. What was happening in the 60s? And will some of that energy start to resurge? This trine, the energy of this trine, which is 120 degrees, could combine the archetypes of Uranus and Pluto so that not only do we feel some of the energy from the 1960s, but revolutionary energy that's deep and intense, breakthroughs in science and technology, intensified struggles around power and freedom, and irreversible cultural, political, and psychological transformation. Okay. So, yeah, we're definitely in this cycle
Yeah.
and riding the Uranus and Pluto airwaves. Okay. I also have a note that Uranus is the Greek primordial god of the sky. Caelus is sky in Latin, which is the Roman equivalent. And in Greek myth, Uranus is the father of Saturn, and Saturn was the father of Jupiter. Just a little
Oh.
family tree for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uranus is domiciled in Aquarius, which means the detriment is Leo. The exalted placement is Scorpio of all the signs. So the fall
Yeah.
is in Taurus. The archetypes and energy. I think we're getting a really good sense of Uranus, but this little paragraph is coming from Susan Shepard, who wrote my Black Moon astrology cards. And she says, according to myth, out of chaos emerged two expressions of deities, Gaia, Mother Earth, and Uranus, Father Sky. As the higher octave of Mercury, Uranus arrives to break the rules and smash established structures. It is the planet of not only genius, but also intuition, which arrives in sudden flashes, just like lightning, seemingly out of nowhere. The great humanitarian, Uranus is not really personal, and its viewpoint is one that is detached and unemotional. Such detachment is needed when everything is about to be turned upside down.
Mm.
So, some more keywords that I gathered: genius, intuition, intelligence, ingenuity, innovation, bolts of insight, a leap in consciousness, but also rapid changes, shocks, jolts, sudden transformations, and the unexpected. I think it was in our Five of Cups podcast. We talked about this a little bit with the Tower card, and the suddenness that comes from the Tower card can be very traumatic. So I would say that something traumatic would fall in the realm of Uranus. Revolution and rebellion belong there too. Innovation, originality, novelty, but also the taboo and the sense of being different. Space travel, the planets, outer space, UFOs, and aliens. I've heard some astrologers say that if there are aliens, this trine is maybe going to make they're going to become known to us during these trines. We'll see. Let's see. Oh, and Uranus is also associated with Kundalini energy. Yeah, I came across that and wrote that down. So, some shadows in addition to traumatic suddenness, kind of all gas, no brakes,
Mm,
like just going, going, going. Quickness becoming frenetic or chaotic. Detachment that becomes cold or indifferent. Alienation, depression, deep hunger for authentic human experience, which cannot be stimulated, downloaded, or outsourced.
yes.
That came from Nightlight Astrology. And I remember he said that in the context of talking about AI and
Mm-hmm.
machines and robots. And we can sit here and think about using AI for counseling, for example, but the point is human connection cannot be replaced by, yeah, science and technology,
Yeah.
basically.
I think right at we're right there with the shadow side of really beginning to get our heads around what what technology, what effects technology is having on our cultures.
Absolutely. And really, from an astrological point of view, we're at the very beginning of this.
Mm.
And with, all the outer planets have switched signs, that was pretty awesome. Now we have these series of trines. There's just a lot of really kind of rare astrological stuff happening that I think is going to support our human grappling with these questions.
Yeah. Well,
And it's kind of like it's where our society is in the hero's journey.
yeah.
And like we're working our little piece of the wheel
Mhm.
as best we can with what we know.
Well, I keep thinking back to that planetary alignment in January of
Mhm.
2025, and I mean, so and I didn't know this then, but now every time you talk about this planet is doing this, and then it's coming into a dance and coming into a trine, and it's like, what's happening? There was a reset. There was a not a restart, but there was an alignment, and now we're entering a new cycle. Now we're entering a new era, a new age of possibility and awareness and understanding and innovation.
Mhm. And the trines that we are looking forward to, that's happening. I'm looking for my timeline. I'm like scrolling up and down on the note page. But if we're already like it started July of 2025, well, that Neptune Saturn conjunction, we're like in that too. Anyway, there's a lot of like new beginnings. There's a lot of
Mhm.
alignments. There's a lot of stelliums. Like, yes, there's been a lot of convergences that are indicating to astrologers this is like a reset, a new beginning.
Mhm.
Okay, so for tarot, because Uranus is a new planet discovered in 1781, um, just like Pluto, there's not minor arcana correspondences the way the seven traditional celestial bodies have tarot correspondences. But we have three cards to talk about nonetheless. The Fool, which is Uranus's card, traditionally representing the element of air. And then the Tower card, which we've been talking about, throughout, is connected thematically. This is the Tower's Mars's card, but that suddenness that the Tower conveys thematically connects to Uranus. And then, of course, Aquarius's card is the star, Uranus's domicile.
I think that the other connection with the Tower card is that it's a lightning strike, and the lightning having that detached and unemotional energy that you just mentioned when you were talking about yes, this is a Mars card, but there is a lot to me now that I'm putting it together. Uranus tone to that Tower card for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want to know when Pamela Smith drew that card.
Rider-Waite-Smith deck, I just came across the date and I want to say it was 1910.
Okay, so the lightning coming from the sky, I think, is a.
But they would have known about
Mhm.
Neptune and Uranus,
Yeah,
but not Pluto.
yeah.
I'm trying to fact check myself. I think I know where I talk about it. Yeah. I actually talk about it in the next episode
Okay.
because, well, I'm going to save it.
Save it. Save it. Save it.
Okay. But yes, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck was published in 1910. Uranus was discovered in 1781. Neptune was 1861, 1860, somewhere in there. And then Pluto, of course, 1930. So the other thing I think about with these cards is air as ether, as spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we see that in the star card.
Yeah. And if you look at the Fool card, and sometimes that card feels very yellow and very warm and very the energy feels different, but the character is about to walk off a cliff. That's very airy to me, and that's very sudden, and that, you know what I'm saying? So that character is going to have the same kind of energy of that Tower card. They're about to have a sudden shift in their life in the next step that character takes. So that is very Uranus energy in that card, even though there's the yellow background and the warm sky and the rose, the purity, the companionship of the dog. That step is about to change their life. That next step. Are we ready for the message from the universe talking about the next step?
Ready.
Okay, I've got 3 cards from the Medicine Woman Oracle deck by Catherine Maillard. So choose 1, 2, or 3. Card 1 is card number 30, Healing Family Lines. Free yourself from secrets. Discover the hidden treasure of your heritage. The guidebook says the message from the guidebook, women, let us feel once again the beating pulse of our ancestors, our female line. Our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and their mothers before them have left us their legacy, memories, and wounds passed down, as well as the knowledge of forgotten ancestral wisdom. Their signposts on our path to help us discover the earth from which we came, our principal wealth, our roots. Knowing them allows us to take our place on our family tree, free ourselves from secrets, and raise ourselves straight and tall towards the sky. The guidance message: it is time to rekindle the fire of your family's of your family line's memory to shed light on hidden areas and discover the gift of your heritage. Which ancestor stands behind you? You have an opportunity to reconnect with these feminine resources and the forgotten treasures they have bequeathed you. Perhaps you feel a transgenerational blockage. Release any imprint that does not belong to you. Remember, along with the trauma, you carry the antidote. Discover the antidote. You can take your place on your family tree as a free woman and express your gifts. The second card is card 13, the Bison Totem. Life is showering you with its abundance.
Aww.
I am the spirit of the bison. I ensure you will want for nothing. Emblem of winter, I bring you my support in tough times. The symbolism, keeper of the northern door, the bison shows the way towards the sharing and giving of ourselves. He reminds us that this is a world of abundance and teaches us to be satisfied with what we already have. Life is generous. The bison teaches us to appreciate our resources and use what we need respectfully. Traditionally, tribes honored this sacred animal that provided for them with its skin, meat, ligaments, and bones. The bison carries the spirit of community. Together, we are stronger. His message: show respect for and gratitude towards life. In return, life will give you everything you need in abundance. The
Wow.
the guidance message. When the bison appears, it is when the bison appears in a reading, it is for you to question your relationship with life. The bison invites you to become aware of the abundance around you. Everything is already here, right at your fingertips. You may be experiencing a time of shortage that worries you. By showing greater gratitude for what you already have, such as family, friends, and material possessions, you will find a new balance and the ability to honor life. By showing generosity, you will initiate a virtuous cycle. Develop your inner riches and find your community. The medicines of the bison are solidarity and empathy.
It's almost like the bison is the spirit animal of the 11th house, which would be connected to Uranus
Mm-hmm.
because it's the house of blessings and friends and community, I guess, right?
Yeah. These, tell you what. And then the last card is card 36, Purification. Raise your vibrations by caring for your energy. The message: we are vibratory beings. At the heart of our evolution is the energy dimension of our being. Becoming aware of this potential can increase our subtle feelings and, at the same time, recharge our energy. This opens us to new fields of understanding life's true nature. We are energy, and we can be channels of divine and terrestrial energy to create fulfilling lives for ourselves in accord with universal laws, as long as we purify our energies or auras. The guidance. This card is an invitation to take care of your energy. Remember, we are like sponges. We soak up everything, positive or negative. Check where you are at in terms of energy. Depending on who you are with, you may already have felt yourself being rejuvenated or exhausted. Places also have an impact on your energy. This is particularly so for sensitive people when they find themselves in a crowd, store, or subway. It is vital for you to learn to protect yourself and to rest and recuperate regularly to pulsate with energy. That is your true nature.
What was the first line of that message or the card name? Like the very, very first sentence you read?
Raise your vibrations by caring for your energy.
Yeah. And
That
that made
one?
me think of the association. Wait, the third card First sentence, that one. I think you said it. Is that what
We
you
are
read to me?
we are vibratory beings, or raise your vibrations by caring for your energy.
That. Yes. I think, yeah. So that made me think of the association that Uranus has with Kundalini energy, but it doesn't have to be Kundalini yoga, even though that's the picture on the card. Christina's showing it to me. It could be any type of self care practice where that is like what's happening. You're taking care of your vibration. And I think another way to say that is grounding yourself, because this is fixed air.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
And
the bison is grounding us.
yes, we need grounding because with fixed air, Uranus in air sign Gemini, and
Mm-hmm.
also with, you know, deep watery Pluto in air sign Aquarius, there's going to be a lot of quickness. And we talked about a potential shadow with Uranus being that frenetic, kind of chaotic, buzzy type
Mm-hmm.
feeling. So, what we don't want to happen during this season of trines and astrological change, is to become ungrounded and let our vibration be dictated by what's happening around us. It's like raising your vibration and grounding yourself is really taking charge of your energy and not letting it ping pong around
Mm-hmm.
and change based on the headline that pops up on
I
your
know.
phone, for
Getting
example.
getting swept away in
Yes.
some other story or some
Mm-hmm.
other energy. We need to keep our energy for ourselves. And that
Yes. And I thought you were going to say don't get swept up in the storm, but you said story. But like
mm-hmm.
same thing. The
Mm-hmm.
story, the storm. I think about those overhead power lines again.
Mm-hmm. These cards are so exactly what we were just talking about, because we have ancestral, we have that higher
Yep.
level detached and not unemotional, but you know what I'm saying when I say ancestral downloads and information and connecting to that higher crown chakra information. Then we have the bison to help us be grateful, present, grounded, earthy, and then take care of your energy. Your
Yes.
energy. Wow. And listeners, I'll confide in you that I didn't have these cards drawn until Nicole and I connected. And while we were chatting before we hit record, I was shuffling these cards and preparing them. So they were very connected to our energy because I had just selected them right before we started.
Yeah. And that first card even reminds me of the tree of life sphere for this
Mm.
planet, the
Mm-hmm.
conceptual 11th sphere of knowing that ties right into intuition, that ties right into the crown chakra, and that magical
And that
ability to just know instantaneously from the universe the
that
wisdom you need in that moment.
And that could be ancestral knowledge that has
Mhm.
been passed down to us and is available to us when we are open to receive it. So some of it does come from the ether, but some of it is waiting for us.
Yeah. And Christina kind of literally just like made the Uranus symbol unknowingly with her hands. So I think this is what's called a complete circle. Like we've
Yes.
come full circle with Uranus. And
Yes.
next week we are talking about the Fool. So we'll dive into that card next week. And until then, listeners, thank you. And we love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. The Radical Podcast is created and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music. Stay in touch with us at linktr.ee/theradicalpodnc.